Welcome to another edition of A Delicious Mess from my kitchen outside of Suffolk, Virginia. It's Black History Month, and I've been reading our brand new cookbook, The Rise, by Marcus Samuelson. You can request it from your library and pick it up at curbside contact free. From The Rise, I found Cheryl Day. And today, I'm going to make her buttermilk biscuits from the Back in the Day bakery. I've got buttermilk, self-rising flour, salt, sugar, butter, and shortening. I'm using a large bowl, a whisk. I am cutting my biscuits with this small springform pan because I don't own a biscuit cutter. And I happen to have a pastry blender and my teaspoon, my dry measures, and a liquid measure for my buttermilk. Before I begin, I've got my parchment lined 9 by 12 baking dish, and I'm going to preheat the oven to 500 degrees. As soon as I put my biscuits in the oven, I'm going to turn down the temperature, but they need to start in a hot oven. I've got 2.5 cups of self-rising flour, and I'm going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of sugar and 1/4 a teaspoon of salt, and whisk it together just lightly. I've got 8 tablespoons of cold unsalted butter and 2 tablespoons of cold vegetable shortening that I'm going to toss right into my delicious mess. And then I'll cut it in with the pastry blender. If you don't have a pastry blender, you can actually do this step by hand. You just want different sizes of chunks of floury butter. So you can see my chunky flour mixture with butter and shortening. And I'm going to slowly mix in 1.5 cups of buttermilk by hand. This is where it really gets messy. I'm going to try and just use one hand for the wet and one hand to pour my buttermilk in. So we're going to gently roll our messy dough out onto a floured surface. Wash my hands, and then I'm going to roll it out. I've got my dough rolled to about a 3/4 inch thick rectangle. And now I'm going to fold the top third down and the bottom third up and roll it down to a 1/2 inch thick. I've got my second roll 1/2 inch thick. And I'm going to take my circle and just push it down, no turning, so that we don't seal the edges and the butter has a chance to really break it up. My oven is preheated to 500 degrees. I've got my biscuits in my parchment lined pan with melted butter on top. Stick it in to the middle rack. Bring the temperature down to 450. And then set the timer for 20 minutes. After that, it's time to eat. 20 minutes in the oven. I'm gonna pull these out, put a little more melted butter on top, and then we're gonna have hot biscuits. And I'm back with a finished pan of hot buttermilk biscuits. They're brown and steamy. I'm gonna brush a little more butter on top. And they're ready to eat. Now, who's gonna clean up this mess?